where Clay loses all credibility to me is that he was already arguing that Jimmy Garoppolo was better than Trey Lance.
Right.
That's where you just lose anybody that's just like on the Brock Purdy bandwagon, completely could understand as far as his starts and everything else. But
Mhm.
you know, I I remember when you were first. I believe this is when Trey was getting the start before Jimmy came back, and it was in OTAs, and you were reporting there. And the days that he like threw an interception or so, your comments were like, "Well, don't uh don't overthink it. Jimmy did this all the time.
Yeah.
He's always threw interceptions."
Yeah.
So where I think my anger toward the coaching staff is where they just never let Trey be Trey or to find out what they truly had instead of running
Right.
him like a running back all the time. Because, if you think about that team, we always overcame turnovers. So what were you really afraid of? Like Jimmy turned it over all the damn time in many different ways, whether it was fumble, throwing to a linebacker, which was his specialty that we felt sometimes.
What I don't like about this thing with the Niners is they're holding Trey to this practice standard. They're like, look, he doesn't even get to be on the field because he hasn't been good enough in practice or whatever. But they're acting like that standard, that rubric that they judge people on in practice is so good at predicting game performance. But if that had been the case, then Brock Purdy would have played earlier, way earlier.
I
So
agree.
I just don't understand how you can. It's like it seems to me that Jimmy Garoppolo played and had success so early that all of a sudden you couldn't judge him based on practice because he won 5 games in the regular season. So whatever he did in practice didn't
Yeah.
matter. Same with Brock. Like he didn't light it up in training camp. He wasn't the number 2 guy out of training camp. He barely made the team based off his practice performance. Then he lights it up in games and he's a gamer. And now like he doesn't have to compete. Nothing he does in practice matters. But since Trey hasn't been given an opportunity to show that he's a gamer because they keep getting him hurt playing running back, he has to be perfect in practice where the other quarterbacks don't have to be perfect in practice. That's not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah, I agree. But also too, I just like with the team that we had, that they always overcame turnovers and everything else with Jimmy. So I just don't understand why were they so worried about that with a young Trey if he would have turned the ball over or so.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just don't understand why having a young, talented quarterback with potential who might take a little time is so off-putting to so many fans. Like, this is not what we need. Like, man, why? Why are you so eager to fall back on the most humblest of skill sets? Why is that where you want to be? Like, why do you want to root for the quarterback with the weakest arm in the league? I mean, nothing against that guy, but like, that's it. That's your
Yeah.
ideal quarterback. Why? How come the people who like Jimmy also like Brock, also like Darnold, but don't like Trey and didn't like Kaepernick? What's that about?
Well, then that's the other part of the credibility that's just lost. Like, how in the hell did Darnold come into play in this?
I don't know.
Your dad and you guys had a show where you guys were talking about quarterbacks, and forget what the phrase you said, but they have a little bit of a spontaneous genius or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah. That
so
was Bill
I
Walsh's
mean,
phrase.
yeah, I could see that in Trey. I could see that in Brock. Given time, yeah, because we have seen flashes of where things break down and they make a play happen. I don't see that in Darnold, and we've seen many games of him. So I don't even see how he's crept up
No,
into the conversation.
he has like spontaneous stupidity. I'm so sorry. I hate to say it. Like, that's what it is. No, but like again though, but like the Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy lover, like not lovers, but like the guys who those are their favorite quarterbacks. Kyle's not with you on that. Kyle ran Jimmy out of town. He was forced upon Kyle. Kyle ran him out of town. And instead of embracing Brock Purdy this offseason, Kyle brought in Sam Darnold, who is not a dinker and a dunker. He was the 3rd pick in the draft. He has a big arm. He can get it down the field. He's not quite the athlete that Trey Lance is, but there's a reason he went 3rd overall. And Kyle is not going to settle for Brock. He's not going to settle for Jimmy. He's not as excited about your favorite quarterback as you are, just like he wasn't as excited about Jimmy. So I just want to say that Kyle's on our side on this debate. And even if I think he's had the realization that he's not a good enough coach to coach Trey, essentially. And he's hoping that he can do it with Darnold, that like Darnold doesn't need actual coaching. He just needs a change of scenery. I think that's what he's thinking, but we'll see.
I
Anyway,
think that's
I got
fair
to take some
enough.
more calls, voice.
Definitely.
All right, voice. Good to see you, man. Later. Shane Cooley says, when Brock became QB1 last year, my parents became obsessed with Niners football. Haven't seen them that excited since my senior year of football. Made me jealous. Wish I could be Purdy. I will say one thing about Purdy. I've been thinking about this a lot. I wish my mom could have seen him play. She would have fucking loved Brock Purdy. How could you not? I mean, everyone loves Brock Purdy, but I feel like he really resonates with people who don't watch that much football. It's like, look at that little guy. Look at him go. Kind of like, anyway, my mom would have loved Brock Purdy. She really would have loved last season. She would have got a kick out of it. And she probably would have told me to be nicer to him. Sorry, mom. Yeah. Okay. Caplo ENT says, are we really Niner fans or player fans is what I question at this point. Yeah, right? Like, if you're a Niner fan, your attitude should be like, I'm kind of over this quarterback competition. Just wake me up when you decide who it is, and I'll root for the dude, right? Kind of?